Pranams to Sadguru, pranams to Swamiji, pranams to all those holy personages who are here, and my respects to all the people who are attending, especially the students. At the outset, I thank the organization for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this very, very important topic. Peace is born of justice. Now, what is this thing called peace? First point. There must be a feeling of satisfaction when we live in an association, in a group. There is no injustice at all. The moment there is some sort of an injustice, naturally it upsets the equilibrium of the mind. And there starts lack of peace. So next one. This is a prayer. I start saying Om Shanti Shanti, which has been repeated ad infinitum here. It has got three implications. The first Shanti is for me. Second Shanti is for the surroundings. And the third for the universe. Because if one is upset, it will have its echo on the others also. It is something like Pascal's law of transmissibility of pressure in physics. You know, physics and Vedanta are very close. Both deal with two things only, matter and energy. Conservation, conversion. So when there is one vibration somewhere in the entire universe, it has its own effect on others also. That's why we say thrice. It is not redundance, it is not repetition. If I am peaceful, I will not create problem to others. If I am not, I will even create problem to those who are in peace. That's why I always say at the end of any function, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Next. I started with the Vedic prayer, which intonates Shanti, and I have given the reasons for that. The key for this is in the Taittiriya Upanishad of the Krishna Yajurveda, where it implicates wrongdoings and it supplicates what is necessary. Next. There is a popular Vedic hymn called Bhumi Sukta, which says, we are the birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different languages. We may live in different dharma or religion. We may belong to different culture. Yet we share the same home, yet born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, breathing the same air. We must learn to progress happily together or miserably perish together. For a person who can live individually but can survive only collectively. It's a very powerful Vedic statement, which if followed, naturally peace follows. Next. I'm sorry to trouble you for next. If I got the matter here, I can do the change of the slide here itself. It's not possible. Anyway, next slide. Ancient texts seem to suggest that we all owe a responsibility to the environment, not only for ourselves, but for the sake of those around us also. You find that in the Shakuntala of Kalidasa also, where he describes the character of the heroine Shakuntala, Padumna Pradamam Vyavasthadilam Yasmas Ubeshis. It's a very beautiful slogan, considered to be one of the four best in the entire Sanskrit literature. That she will not have water unless she has watered the plants. She will not have her food unless it has fed the plants and also the animals and birds. It shows the unity. And if one realizes that and tries to practice, it's no question of difference of opinion and differential treatment also. Next. This is Suvashida, Sangachadvam Sambadadvam, Samvo Manamsi Janadam, Deva Bhagam Yatapurve Sajjananam Upasate. which means, O men, go together harmoniously, speak together, understand each other's minds, just as gods from ancient times, having known each other's minds, did the job come to their lot. Religiously, so you act. That is for universal union and unison. If that is practiced, then what else is necessary to ensure that there is peace? Next. The title of the topic is significant because one complements the other. Since peace is born of justice, and if one is just, one can maintain internal and external peace. How can internal peace be cultivated, which if controlled will harm external peace? That's why I started by saying Pascal's law of transmissibility of pressure. If there is one disturbance in one area, then it reverberates to the others also. So wholesomely, how do you maintain that? It starts with one's own self. The method all Shastras advise for mental control is to avoid and not to become a victim of the 6 enemies of humans. We don't have any enemies outside at all. All enemies are inside. We presume others are enemies, that's all, because of prejudice. We look at them through colored glass. Actually, no enemy outside, all enemies are inside. And who are those enemies? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mata, Matsarya. These are the 6. They are called Ari Shad Varga. Shad is 6, Shad Varga is group, and Ari is enemy. So it's a group of 6 enemies that are within, and they show their activity outside according to our mental mode. Now what is the meaning of all these things? Kama. Kama is not mere desire, it is illegitimate desire. Desire is necessary. Without desire, you can't progress. But what type of desire? 2 types of desires are there. Legal desire, illegal desire. So kama here refers to illegal desire or illegitimate desire. Next is Krodha. Krodha is not anger. Anger is necessary. If anger is not there, nobody will worry or bother about you. But then anger has got a limit. It should not, Kopa is okay, but Krodha should not be there. That's a distinction. Krodha is uncontrolled anger or ire, I-R-E. Actually, what is the real meaning of anger? Madness. A madman does not know what he does. So angry man also does not know what he does. If the anger crosses the limit, up to a limit it is necessary. If you are not that, if you don't have anger at all, nobody will respect you also. It is necessary. But to what extent it is necessary? It is something like your poison. Most of the medicines are poisons, but it's necessary to a particular level. It goes beyond that, it creates problem. Up to that is a medicine. Like that, anger also is necessary. But it should not become ire or uncontrolled. That is what is called Krodha. Lobha, miserliness. Moha. Moha is not knowing the real nature of a thing. Or it is called invalid cognition. If you see something and understand it differently, that is called moha. You find the Bhagavad Gita, the 2 words that Arjuna had, shoka and moha. Shoka is needless compassion or misplaced sympathy. And moha is invalid cognition, not understanding things in their real nature. So that is one of the dangers, moha. Mada is arrogance or self-conceit. And matsarya is quarrelsome nature. So these are the 6 enemies which are there in us. It is not from outside. So what is the duty of a person to live in peace and make society peaceful and neighbors peaceful? To control them, to contain them. It is not possible to completely eradicate them. Only sages and saints who have all evolved, they can do that. We can't do it. This question of non-violence is a very tricky word. Is non-violence possible? No, not possible. You can only avoid needless violence. Violence is inherent in nature. You eat food, it is violence. You breathe, it is violence. Because while breathing, microbes are killed. While eating, vegetable kingdom is destroyed. So is there non-violence? No. That is why Nahanya sarva bhutani, do not cause damage to any living being, but then there is an exception given, Agnisomiyam pashum alabeta. In doing certain sacrifices, it is necessary to destroy certain organisms and sometimes certain lower level of animals also. I don't know whether I can say lower. Some human beings are lower than the animals. That's a different story. But the point is this, lower unit of life. So it's not possible to completely have non-violent attitude, in which case you should not breathe. Is it possible? A living being certainly does that. But it has to be restricted and perhaps avoidable or unnecessary hurt can be avoided. That's why in law also, injury is defined in a very beautiful way. I don't know whether Macaulay knew the Shastras or not, but he has given a very beautiful Shastric definition of injury. If I say injury, generally people can understand any harm caused to anybody. Law does not say that. Section 44 of the Indian Penal Code defines what is injury. The word injury denotes any harm whatever illegally caused to any person in body, mind, reputation or property. So see the controlling word there, illegally caused. So that means you can legally cause injury. What is the example for that? A doctor conducts an operation, it's an injury, but it is legal. You fight in right of private defense when there is illegal attack on you, and sometimes it can result in death of the aggressor. No injury. In a case like that, you will be given a police medal for gallantry and an allowance which is not taxable. This is not injury. So injury has to be understood in the legal sense. The word injury is defined as any harm whatever, illegally caused to any person in body, mind, reputation or property. So we have to understand what is really the meaning of a text. Same in Shastras also. Nahanya sarva bhutani. You should not cause any damage to any of the living beings. But agnisomiyam pashum alabeta. There is an exception to that. But exception should be exception and should not be a rule. So these are the things that are the dangers which are within ourselves. If we are able to control that, then that becomes a way for maintaining peace. Next. Now one or more of these will upset the equilibrium of the mind, it is obvious. So there is a Bhagavad Gita text in Adhyaya 2, Sankhya Yoga, which says, Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sankasteshu upajayate, sanga sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhakti sammoha sammoha smir vibrahma, sindhignanshat buddhinashat pranashyati. Buddhinasha doesn't mean death of the brain or death of the person. Buddhinasha means not following discretion. Buddhi is actually not intelligence as we translate in English. It is discretion. What to do, what not to do. That is buddhi. I should do what is right according to Shastras and what is laid down by our elders and our sages. And I should avoid what. That's why they say vidhi and nisheda. Vidhi is what you should do and nisheda is what you should not. You can say the do's and don'ts. So he loses that discriminatory power because he is attached to all these things, one to other. It's called a karanamala alankara. From one to the other. Finally, it keeps the person lower down than a human. Humans are supposed to have discretion. I don't know how far it is true. Some animals perhaps are better and some humans are worse. But still, the belief is humans have got what they call the sixth sense. They can understand the right from the wrong, follow the right and abjure the wrong. So meditating on sense organs, etc. is the meaning I have given. I don't think I will have time to go through all this. This is a chain of events starting from attachment. As described as Karanamala Alankara, I told you. This is the reason why non-attachment is recommended as the first step. Seeing something is different from getting attached to that. Seeing is okay, but attachment becomes difficult to shake off later on because you become part of that. So that's why the Gita advises that a state of sthita prajna, or a person of fixed sort of understanding of things. So he will know the right path to follow, not cause danger to somebody or cause danger to himself and thereafter create a confusion around. So peaceful living, that's why. Because what was the problem of Arjuna? Only two problems he had, which everybody has. Number one is the problem of misplaced sympathy, and the second one of confusion of what to do and what not to do. At the end he says at the 18th chapter, now I become clear after listening to you. So, Nashto mohaha smritir labdha tvaspasada jalardana. So he says that. So these are the two which are normally the problems for all human beings. Shoka and moha. Shoka, misplaced sympathy, and moha, not understanding things in their reality. Then all sorts of problems arise and we do wrong things. That's what Arjuna was having the problem. Arjuna is actually a prototype of normal human being. All of us have that. Therefore, we want, Lord Krishna cannot come, therefore we have got great people like this to advise us what to do and what not to do. They are all Lord Krishnas for us, at least for me, because I am an Arjuna. So this is the position. How to get over that and maintain peace. If you maintain peace within yourself, you radiate peace around, and that gets again in ripples, and the whole thing becomes peaceful. Next. Next one. Both in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, peace was jeopardized. Why? Due to one or the other of the six enemies cited above, raising his head, resulting in unjust actions. That's why they say, Ravanavad navartavyam sa adharmaha. Ramavad vartavyam sa dharmaha. Follow what Rama did, but don't follow what Ravana did. Because what Rama did was dharma, and what Ravana did was adharma. Now the question is, what is dharma? Popularly, some people say, doing some help to other people, charity and all that, that is not dharma, that is dana. But dana is part of dharma, there is no doubt about that. Then what is dharma? Each person in his stage of life, has got certain dharmas to follow. That's why Gita again says, Swadharme nidanam sreyaha, paradharmo bhayavaha. One should not go to another person's dharma. I don't think there is any scripture in Hindu literature which says all that the Gita says. Only 700 verses. Not even that. The first chapter is not Gita, it's Arjuna Gita. That contains the entire dharma. That's why Bhagavad Pada in the commentary starts by saying, Idam Gita Shastram Sagala Vedanta Shastra Sangraha Bhutam. There is nothing else that you should read. Read only Bhagavad Gita in the commentary. But Durvignayartham, it is not easy to understand. There are a lot of things which appear to be contradictory, though they are not. So you require a guru to explain the whole thing. And guru is not a teacher. In Sanskrit there are so many words. Guru is not a teacher. Guru means a person who destroys or dispels your ignorance. Gukaraha antakarasyat rugarasta nivartakaha. Antakara nivartitvad guru iti abhidiyate. There are so many other words you have got. Adhyapaka you have got, Shikshaka you have got. They don't give this merit to Guru. That's why you always say about Guru, Gurubhyo Namaha, Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru has got another meaning also, weighty. not by body, but by knowledge. So Guru. So he is the person who tells you the do's and don'ts. So always go and seek knowledge, clarity, clarification at his lotus feet. That's why we say Guru Bhyo Namaha to start, and the end also we say Guru Bhyo Namaha. So Ravana Vartavyam, no, the adharma. Ramana Vartavyam, yes. Why? Dharma. And what is dharma? Dharyate anena iti dharmaha. Dharanad dharmamityahu. Whatever is sustained by something, that sustaining factor is the dharma of that thing. For example, this amplifier is there. What is the dharma of this amplifier? When I talk into that, my voice should be amplified. Otherwise, it's only a piece of steel. That is dharma. So every existence has a dharma. And one has to discharge that dharma according to what Shastras lay down. That's why it says, Swadharme nidhanam sreyaha. You can perish by doing your own dharma. Paradharmaha bhayavaha. Never go to somebody else's dharma, because it is not going to be safe or secure for you. That's why Valmiki refers to Rama as Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. He was actually a personification of Dharma. Any act done by Rama in the Ramayana, you will find, he is based on only Dharma. And when did the Dharma come? Not yesterday, today. Sanatana Dharma. It came from time immemorial. And how long it will last? It will last Ananta. Anadi and Ananta, the whole area. Yes. Next. Same is like in Mahabharata also, where Kauravas led by Duryodhana, Dushasana, heaped adharma on Pandavas by deceit and aided by Shakuni. The result, peace was destroyed through violence of just contact. So the 6 enemies I mentioned there, a popular Subhashita also says, I am Nigat Paravedi. I don't know how many of you can read this Sanskrit text, but anyway the meaning also I will give you. Ayam nija paravedi ganana laguchetasam udara taritanam su vasudhaiva kudumbagam. That was referred to earlier by His Holiness here about this. It is mine, it is yours, etc. If there is a differential treatment, then that's the problem for all the issues. The whole thing is only vasudhaiva kudumbakam. The word kudumbakam is a very significant word. Kudumba is family. Kudumbakam means small family. The entire universe is a very small family, meaning attachment, interaction, concern. That ka, pratyaya, is added to a word, it gives you a smaller, for example, vriksha, vrikshaka, bala, balaka. So the ka you add there, according to grammatical rule, alparte ka pratyayaha, it gives you a small meaning. So the entire world is a small family, a close-knit family, and therefore there is no question of any difference that should arise. But we create it because of the 6 enemies. So if you are able to understand that and live as that, it's a very beautiful sloka in the Bhagavad Gita. Next one. Vidriniti in Mahabharata also there is a sloka there. I don't know whether I will be able to explain all these things, because I don't want to overstep the time limit ordered by Swamiji. Anyway, one thing I will say about this sloka is very important. Viduriniti is a text which gives you the entire behavior, the conduct, the character, the ethics, the whole thing. You find that. It's an advice by Vidura to the blind king Dhritarashtra in the Mahabharata. Mahabharata itself is called Dharma Shastra, just like Ramayana also. Anyway, this I will explain here. Ego dharmaha param seyaha, ego shantiruttama. So dharma is the one that is necessary for resulting in shanti. And shanti is where people can progress and do what they think legally as correct and what should be done. Otherwise there will be no control, and all bad characters and people who are not following what should be followed will create problem in the progress of these people. I have seen it in practice in my service in the police for 35 years. So I believe that dharma is the cornerstone which we call loosely as law and order here. If there is proper law, there will be order. That's the meaning of law and order. And dharma is the law. Verily, 6 qualities should never be forsaken, etc., etc. And these are all again given in the Vidaranidhi. Next one. I'm sorry I am rushing through, but the time limit is there. So if there is any blame, the blame should be given to people who have restricted me by time. Empathy and not sympathy. Sympathy is from a higher level to a lower level. Empathy is at the same level. Oh, poor fellow, that is sympathy. No. This man's suffering is my suffering. That's why we find that Bhagavad Gita sloga, Atma aupamyena sarvatra samam pashyatyo Arjuna sukham va idiva dukkam sayogi. Paramumada. So this is where Atma aupamya. That one is known as a perfect yogi who considers pleasure and pain of others as his own. This is not sympathy, this is empathy. Yogi, this is a very interesting word, yogi. Yogi is not merely by appearance, by wearing ochre robes or observances and all that. Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra, Yoga Shastra, Yoga Sutra says, Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Chittasya manasa vrittehe parinamasya virodha yat tat yogaha. Vritti means modification, change. Mind goes on changing. Mind is not constant at all. They will say mind is a monkey. It never stays in one place, goes on changing. If you are able to control, contain and trammel the consequences of the change, then that is what is called yoga. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Chittasya manasaha vrittehe parinamasya nirodha yat tat yogaha. So if you are able to keep the mind constant in one thing, concentrated in one thing, without any change or any sublation, then you called yogi. So who is a yogi? Atma aupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yaha saha yogi. So you will not injure yourself. Naturally, you will not injure others also. So that is the comment. When you don't do that, either to you, to others, or to society at large, peace prevails. So how peace comes is not because of outside factor, it is of inside factor only. Next. Yogi I have defined now. Next. The description of Sthita Prajna is found in the Bhagavad Gita as what he does. Equals, this is exactly what Article 14 of the Constitution, earlier it was referred to here, it's exactly that. Prajahadi yada kaman sarvan partha manoradane or manogadane atmaneva atmanatushtaha sthita prajna sthata uchyate. Sthita prajna is a person of constant, steady or confirmed wisdom. Wisdom is different from intelligence. Intelligence is dangerous, wisdom is good. See, equals, what about Article 14? Equals shall be treated equally, equals shall not be treated unequally, and unequals shall not be treated equally. This is Article 14. It's exactly what the Bhagavad Gita says. And if that is done, there is no question of any quarrel, any dispute, and peace prevails. All these are based on the two things, I and mine. Ahankara and the mamakara. If a person is able to rein in these two and think equal to others also, whatever the situation, high, low, different, in different ways, doesn't matter. That will see that there is general peace. Because you will not have a tendency to injure yourself, naturally you will not do that to others also. Next one. Next one. Even if there is absolute justice, the extreme point, there could still be a few who disputed. A common experience may be seen in the legal disputes. There's only one matter, but two people argue that. And one judge gives a judgment today, on appeal it is different. Ultimately you have to stop somewhere, therefore you go to Supreme Court, and under Article 141 of the Constitution, what Supreme Court says is law. Whether Supreme Court is correct or not, that also is doubtful. Because what Supreme Court says today, after some time, the same Supreme Court with different judges may give a different view also. So it's never constant, is the point. What does it sustain? It sustains society, dharma. I have defined this already. And there is a proverb in Malayalam also. This is to be instilled in the mind of youngsters. That's why I'm happy that students are here. In Malayalam there is a saying, Cherupattilulla kalam marakkumo manusanulla kalam. Whatever has been injected into the mind of youngsters, it will remain same. It's something like driving a nail into a tree, which is in a tender age, and after it has become very old. Only the nail will bend. So whoever says something will come back to him only. Next. If one makes ethics as one philosophy of life, justice and peace will prevail. And what is this thing called ethics? Ethics is called non-injury. Ethos or ethics is called non-injury. If that is a practice, there is no problem at all. Again, go back to the 6 enemies. They cause damage to the thought of ethics itself, leave alone practice. Next. If one makes ethics as one philosophy, the word philosophy is not merely discoursing on something. Philo means love. Sophy means wisdom. So philosophy means love of wisdom, not intelligence. Intelligence is dangerous. Wisdom is what is necessary. What is wisdom? Knowing the right from the wrong. Separate the grain from the chaff and take the right and leave the wrong. Then you are wise. If you don't do that, you are otherwise. Shiksha Valli. It starts like that. Satyam Vada. Satyam is different from Ritam. Satyam is truth. Ritam is fact. Fact is not always there. For example, I took my breakfast in the morning is a fact, but it lasts only 3 hours. Now the breakfast is not there. The definition of Satyam is Traikalika Abhadyatvam Satyasya Lakshanam. What is Satya yesterday, today, tomorrow, or any point of time remains without any change. That's called Satya. Or you can say Satya is Nitya. Truth is different from fact. Satya is truth. That's why Satyameva Jayate, not Nityameva Jayate or Nityam or any other thing they have put. So the correct meaning is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, quotation, Mundaka Upanishad, quotation. So what is that? Satyam Dharma. And Dharma. Satya is theory, Dharma is practice. So because of that, Dharmo Nityaha, Sukaduketva Nitye, Jivo Nityaha, Tasya Hetustva Nityaha. There is the gentle treatment in that. So I think with this, next one, I'll stop here. Thank you very much.